Hey there, friend. Welcome back here to Seed and Sparrow Homestead. I'm Kelsey. I am working on restocking some of my natural medicine cabinet. There's a few things I'd like to have on hand now that the new school year has started, whenever that happens, and then of course fall comes along and the temperatures fluctuate, sicknesses tend to follow. And I haven't been the greatest about having some things ready to go if we do feel something coming on, or if we are with other people who we knew had been sick or might be sick. I want to have some preventative, some immune enhancing and supporting remedies ready to go for my family. So, disclaimer, everything you see here is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor, nor am I any sort of expert. I am just a wife and a mom who just wants to do best for my family. And I've done a whole bunch of research and I feel comfortable doing this for my own family. So I encourage you to do the research yourself. And consult with whoever you do consult with. So we're gonna get started on some recipes today. I have 5 natural remedies for your home medicine cabinet. All right, let me just say, you are going to hear background noise today. My kids are just super rambunctious today. I tried settling them, doing some quieter activities. It's just not happening today, and that's totally fine. They're having a good old time. But you're gonna hear that in the background. We're gonna get started on recipe number 1. I wanna get it onto the stovetop. We have some elderberry syrup. I'm sure many of you have heard of elderberry syrup. If you have not made it before, it's super simple to throw together. I keep it in my fridge. If I do hear there is something going around and I know we're gonna be out and about, I will give us small doses every day just to help boost our immune system for a little while. I don't do it for extended periods of time. And if we are actively fighting something, I'll do smaller doses throughout the day. So if you are interested in any dosages, I will include some links in the description as well as what I do. And I will include some of my favorite herbal books. If you're interested in getting into some of this stuff and you just don't know where to start, that's how I learned. This was really just through books. So I will include all that down in the description. Now we're on to the elderberry syrups. I have some dried elderberries here. I source these online. I like using, let's see, Mountain Rose Herbs, Star West Botanicals, I believe it's Pacific Botanicals, and Frontier Co-op is decent too. I do prioritize organic when sourcing. You can also find all of those on Amazon if that is easier for you. Also, then you usually get free shipping if you have Prime. So 1 cup dried elderberries. You need 6 cups filtered water. And then I am using cinnamon sticks. You can use powdered cinnamon. I'm also using fresh ginger. You can use powdered ginger. I prefer it this way in the whole form because I don't love the texture that it leaves in this elderberry syrup. It's just kind of gritty. If you were to use like a jelly straining bag, that might get most of it out, but there's still like some sediment that I just don't love personally. So I stick with the whole form. So I did 2 sticks of cinnamon. I would probably do like 2 teaspoons of cinnamon powder. And then I just have a thumb of ginger here that I peeled. I did slice it in half just to increase surface area. But I do maybe like a teaspoon of ground ginger. So we are gonna get this onto the stovetop here. And we're gonna bring this up to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm gonna turn down the heat, allow it to simmer. We're gonna add a lid and we'll allow it to do its thing for 30 minutes. Moving on to the second recipe here while we wait for the elderberry syrup, we're gonna work on some fire cider. I have shared this book before. It's by Rosemary. There's 101 variations on fire cider in here. I'll link it down in the description, but it's also in my Amazon shop in my library collection. So a fire cider, if you've never had it, packs a punch. It is very pungent, very strong. It will literally open everything up after you take it. That's the point. Also, all of the ingredients are just whole foods, and they all have medicinal properties. They're going to be great for you when you're feeling under the weather. I will be honest, my kids don't like this and they refuse to take it. So not the greatest for kids. You can, now after it sits for a little while, you're going to add some honey. You can add it to your liking. So if you want this to get in your kids, you might just have to sweeten it up a whole lot to make that happen. But after my kids tried it once, they know now that they just don't like it, and that's okay. I have other remedies for them. This is mainly for Matt and I. But there are a whole bunch of variations. Like I said, the base is usually garlic, onion, ginger, and horseradish root. So that is the base, and then you can kind of customize it after that. The variation I'm doing today also incorporates turmeric root, some fresh rosemary, some ground black pepper, and some lemon peel. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to chop some things up, and then we're going to submerge everything under some raw apple cider vinegar. So I have a few things ready to go here for this fire cider. This recipe calls for measurements in parts, so it'll say 1 part this, 2 parts that. Whenever that happens, I will just choose what measurement will equal 1 part. So for 1 part, I am choosing a 1/4 cup. So if something says 2 parts, then I would use a 1/2 cup. So first thing we need is 3 parts onion. You know what? I'm gonna get a funnel. So for 3 parts onion, for me that came out to 3/4 cup. But like these measurements are not exact. There's no like specific like scientific amounts or anything like that here. They're approximate. So you can kind of give and take where needed. So we've got that, and then it's 2 parts lemon. So for me that's a 1/2 cup. Now this is lemon chopped up with the peel still on it. So all that's going in. Then we need 2 parts horseradish root. Try saying that 10 times fast. That's going in here. Super pungent stuff. And then we need 1 part ginger root. I did peel this. That's gonna go in. Now I did chop everything up fairly small. That way like more surface area is touching the apple cider vinegar. We want a nice infusion here. And then we also need 1 part turmeric root. This is gonna give this mixture a beautiful golden color. This recipe is actually called Twin Stars Golden Fire Tonic. And then we also need 1 part of chopped garlic. I gotta run out to the garden quick. I'll bring you along. We gotta grab some rosemary. My fingers will probably be dyed for the foreseeable future from the turmeric. Has anyone else been having absolutely glorious weather? It has been so beautiful here, like mid-70s, but when you wake up in the morning, it's super crisp outside. It's been about, I think one morning we actually had down to 38, but it's usually like mid-40s, low 50s, and it's just perfect in the morning to snuggle up with a blanket and a cup of tea, and I am loving it. Here I am getting distracted, but oh, there's a little crab spider on there. Some of the David Austin roses are back in bloom. I love the color of the buds. There's Olivia Rose. Lady of Shalott. Another crab spider. There's Bathsheba. Up here is Crowned Princess Margaretta. And then I think over here is a pretty little rosebud. Anyways, back to what I was actually coming out here for. some rosemary. I don't need a whole lot. Hello, patty cakes. I think that's probably enough, but I'll grab one more. Rosemary secured. Real quick, some unexpected fall color. These volunteer celosia. I believe this one's called Pink Sherbet. It's a variety of colors here, but it's this beautiful like lemon lime foliage, and then all these different mixes of pink and cream and salmon blooms. Washed up this rosemary. I'm gonna chop it up here roughly. It says a 1/4 part fresh rosemary. So, what would that be? Hold please. I'm gonna say that's gonna end up to be somewhere around a teaspoon. Like I said, approximate. We don't have to be super precise here. If it's more or less, it's not gonna hurt anything. So some rosemary. What else? We need a little bit, just a dash of black pepper. Just a little bit of black pepper in there. And I just gotta grab some apple cider vinegar. You do want to use some raw, organic apple cider vinegar with the mother. And I'm just gonna pour this in here, make sure everything is covered. My children are slamming doors. I have to go check on that. A little bit more. I'll probably take it up to the top of the jar here, well, to this little ridge. And grab a lid. Give a little shake. So this fire cider here is just gonna sit in my pantry out of direct sunlight in a somewhat of a temperature controlled area. You don't want it too hot or too cold. And you're gonna allow this to infuse, allow everything to macerate for like 4 weeks. After those 4 weeks, now you do want to shake it, preferably every day. That doesn't always happen for me because quite honestly, I forget about it. It'll be fine. But I try to do it somewhat regularly. Give it a little bit of a shake. And after those 4 weeks, you're gonna strain off everything from the liquid. What you are actually taking is the liquid. And then you'll combine the apple cider vinegar with some raw honey. I would start off, now this is a quart-sized jar, so I would do at least a 1/2 cup of honey. Honey is just gonna make it go down a little bit better. And you can increase that to your taste, to your liking. It's not gonna hurt anything to add some more. So I will take this when we are feeling a little bit under the weather. I'll take like a teaspoon a few times throughout the day. You can also use it as a preventative. So we got our fire cider. Let's move on to something else. Okay, next recipe is super easy. Literally almost no work involved. Well, there was a little bit of work. I had to peel a whole bunch of garlic cloves. I am gonna make some fermented honey garlic. Some people like to make this just for the flavor alone. They use it for like culinary things. But honey and garlic have so many amazing benefits to them. They're just gonna help keep you feeling good and help your immune system out. So I have peeled a whole bunch of garlic here. You do want to like bruise it a little bit. You don't necessarily want to crush it, but you want to allow some of their natural juices to flow. So let me get this in a jar. So I just have a pint-sized mason jar here. I'm gonna put my garlic in here. Probably fill the jar about halfway, or about a cup of peeled garlic. Okay, just like that. I'm gonna grab some of my raw honey. You do want raw honey. That way you know it has still like that good bacteria and natural yeast in it. You need that here for this ferment. So I'm gonna get this. And it's about equal parts. So somewhere around a cup of honey here is gonna be used. We're just gonna allow this to seep down through here. You do want all of the garlic covered in honey. You don't want anything peeking out. We're just gonna help this along here a little bit, allow that honey to seep down through so I can make sure I have enough in here. This honey garlic here, soon to be fermented, is going to sit on my kitchen countertop for about 4 weeks. You can allow it to ferment a little less than that, but the longer you let it go, the more beneficial bacteria is going to form. So I'm gonna grab a lid, stick it on here loosely. You want those natural gases that are gonna form to be able to escape. Otherwise, we'll have a little bit of an explosion in the kitchen here. After time, the garlic cloves will start to soften. The honey will become a little bit more runny. And you can see already, it's starting to float there in the honey. So every day I'll come through and I'll tighten the lid and I will flip it over, allowing it to like resubmerge into the honey. And then I'll flip it back over after it's achieved that, loosen the lid again, and I'll just repeat that process for about 4 weeks. At day like 3 to 5, you're probably gonna start to see some little bubbles start to form. That's that fermentation process starting. And then afterwards, you don't strain anything off. You're just gonna pop one of these guys out of the honey and you take it as a preventative measure or as something to help fight off whatever you've got going on. Just realizing the turmeric stained the handle of my knife. If you have any ideas on how to get that out of there, let me know. Soap and water did not work. So, anyways, we're gonna move on to another remedy. This is a honey onion cough elixir. So this has been used for a really long time in folk medicine, but we're just gonna chop up some onion here, slice it, and we're gonna put this into a jar and we're gonna cover this with honey as well. Some raw honey is important again, and local honey. If you can find honey local to you, that will benefit you as well, especially with allergies. So we're gonna just put this sliced onion in here and we're going to cover it again with the honey. Whoops, I'm making a mess. And this is just gonna sit overnight. So I've got one kiddo already with a cough. That's just a lingering symptom of the last sickness. It doesn't seem to want to let up, but this is just a pretty quick way to help with that cough. So we're just gonna let this sit overnight, and then tomorrow we'll strain it off, and then you can just take like a little teaspoon of honey. Honey in and of itself is just great for coughs, but the onion is just going to amplify that. So let's get this covered. So after these recipes have sat, infused, or fermented, I do store them in the fridge. Now between the vinegar and the honey, those are natural preservatives. So they're going to inhibit the growth of anything that would spoil these, so they will keep for a while. The only thing that I don't keep much beyond 6 to 8 weeks is the elderberry syrup. But honestly, it doesn't usually last past that anyways because we use it up. So we're going to continue on here with some recipes. I am switching over to a voiceover because my kids decided it was time to play The Floor is Lava, so it was chaos. We're gonna make what is called a honey bomb. So it is equal parts of ginger, garlic, and turmeric. You want to dice them up really finely. I'm also gonna add in some black pepper. I did a pretty good pinch. The more you can handle, the better. Now we're going to top this all off with honey again. Do you see the theme here? These are things that are just really good for your immune system. Now keep in mind that about 70% of your immune system is located in your gut. So I am looking for things that also aid in gut health, digestion. I focus on a lot of whole foods that have a lot of prebiotics in them. We also take prebiotics and probiotics. We try to eat some ferments. I also focus on foods that will line the gut. Think like bone broth. Sometimes I'll do some slippery elm bark, marshmallows. I also make it a priority to keep processed foods and refined sugar out of our diets. After the elderberry syrup has cooled off a bit, I'm going to strain the contents out of it. This recipe makes about a quart of finished syrup. So I'm going to divide it up here. I'm going to give some away to my mom and to a neighbor. And then we're going to add some more raw honey. Now, you don't want to add this raw honey while the elderberry syrup is still pretty hot, because that's just going to kill off all of the good stuff in that raw honey. Now I leave enough space to do about a quarter cup of honey for one of these pint jars. If I'm doing a quart jar, then I'll do up to a half cup, but you can just add honey to taste. Now, I believe there is a time and a place for modern medicine, but the first thing that I want to reach for whenever we are feeling under the weather is something that is natural. I know that's going to be best for my body, for my kids' bodies, for those around me. Food should be our medicine. Herbs are for healing. Now, this is not an exhaustive list of all of the natural remedies that I use. This is just what I'm currently stocking up on. I've got a bunch more, and there are so many out there. There is just a wealth of knowledge and information out there. Go ahead and check out some of the books I have in the description, and I'll also list one of my favorite courses that I have taken that'll take you on a bit of a deep dive into how we get sick, how our immune system functions, how to prevent and fight sickness naturally. Hey friend, thanks for hanging out with me today in the kitchen. I hope that these natural remedies can be of use to you. If you have a natural remedy that you have used and love, please feel free to share it down in the comments. I love learning new things, gaining wisdom and knowledge from others. If you do have any questions for me, let me know down in the comments. I'll be happy to help you out. You have a blessed week, friend, and I will see you next time. Take care.